welcome everyone to Izuna Talk episode 4. In today's episode, I have Farnham The Drunk as a guest, and in Ninja Gaiden 1 and Ninja Gaiden 2 player and challenge runner, which recently did the Challenge of the Gods on stream. So please welcome Farnham. How are you doing, man?
Everybody, I'm doing fine, man.
So, I usually start with this. I'm really curious. How did you start with video games? Like, do you remember your first video game, or like the video games that got you into the hobby?
Of course, I doubt that anybody doesn't remember their first time playing a video game. So yes, I remember very clearly that it was on the NES, and my mom bought me an NES when I was very very little, and the first time I saw a game was Mario. Of course, it was Mario.
Okay, so
and I remember distinctly that I got very, very scared on the second level when he goes underground, because everything got very dark and the music changes, and I got scared and didn't want to play it anymore, and I couldn't sleep all night, and my mother had to tell me it's all a game and stuff like that. But the next day I woke up and I thought completely different about it. And I sat there and I played Mario like it felt like forever, and I never let it go again. So yeah, I remember that day very clearly.
So Mario, and what else did you play?
I played all the classics that anybody that had an NES played, like Zelda, of course, Mario, all the Mario games, a lot of Contra. I played a lot of co-op games with my cousin, like Turtles and stuff like that. Everything
so
everybody played.
The Turtles beat 'em up.
Oh yes, I'm a very big Turtles fan, and
I
played a lot of Turtles back then. Yes,
I just recently played it. It's really well designed.
Oh yes, especially Turtles 2 on the NES. If you play that in couch co-op.
I only played the Turtles in Time alone.
You on the Super Nintendo? Yeah. Oh, that's one of the best beat 'em up games I've ever played. Definitely.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I only discovered recently thanks to a friend of mine. Yeah, it's really great. I'm actually pretty hyped to see what will they do with the new one they're developing.
I'm not, since I haven't seen a good Turtles game since the Super Nintendo, so I don't have my hopes up that it will be anything good. But if it is, then I hope I'm wrong, because a new Turtles game is always fucking fantastic.
That would be great. So about beat 'em ups, have you actually played any other beat 'em up?
I'm not so big into beat 'em ups. If I play beat 'em ups, it's only in couch co-op with a friend, just for fun. But I would never play a beat 'em up like by myself. It's for me, it's a couch co-op thing only. So I don't play a lot of beat 'em ups. The last one I played, like a newer one that I played, was Mother Russia Bleeds. And that game is just for everybody who doesn't know it. And if you like beat 'em ups, get it. It's fantastic.
You were talking about point-and-click adventures?
Yes, I play a ton of point-and-click adventures, and there are definitely new ones coming out like every year or something. There's one that's really, really amazing, and for anybody that plays point-and-click adventures, I probably don't have to tell this, but if you like point-and-click adventures, check out Wedget Eye Games. They make or publish fantastic point-and-click adventures. Quality all around.
Okay. So I'm really curious about something. Like, your name obviously comes from Diablo, right?
It does, yes.
So what's your history with it?
When I was younger, when Diablo first released, I played it for the first time, like I think in 98 or something, so a little bit later. And I never played an action RPG before, so that concept was completely new to me. So when I first played it, I was like, my mind was blown, and I fell in love with it, especially with the lore of that game. And for anybody who's played Diablo 1, he will probably know who Farnham The Drunk is. And for me, it's a very special character, because he doesn't give you any quests or has anything important to say. He just sits there and drinks. And when you first start playing the game, you think, well, that guy is not important at all. Why go talk to him at all, you know? And but the further you progress, the more you learn about him, and then you start to learn why he's drinking at all, and then you learn about his backstory, and basically he's there to provide lore and gossip. So you talk to him, you can learn about the other characters, about the history of the game, about what it's up with those demons that are overrunning everything. So you start to learn he's drinking because he went into the catacombs and fought those demons and saw all his friends get skinned and die. So he kind of lost his mind during that time, and now everybody has pity on him and they give him free beer, and he's drinking all day, and if you're lucky he will tell you a very sad story. So that character evolved from I don't care about him, he's kind of useless, to damn, he's probably the deepest character of them all in that little village. So he has a very special place in my heart, so that's why I am named after him.
And you played Diablo 2 too? Or just
yes,
one?
I played a ton of Diablo 2, single player and online. I love those games, and I'm very deep into the lore. The lore is probably the best thing about those games. And I played it a ton. I stopped playing it because Diablo 3 was total ass, in my opinion. So yeah, I my heart was broken when that game released. I waited like 10 years for it, and it came out, and I will never forget how I played it and was so disappointed.
Why it was so disappointing? What did you do wrong? Because I actually only played a bit of 2, so I don't really know anything about the series.
Yeah, the thing is, back then, or maybe 10 years ago, I didn't know about, or I didn't care about who made a game or who published a game. I just cared about the game, you know.
Sure.
So I never looked up if a director changes or a development team changes and someone else makes a game. And for Diablo 3, that was the case. Diablo 1 and 2 were made by Blizzard North, a little sub-studio of Blizzard. So they had completely creative freedom to make those games. And they came up with a concept, basically. So the team left, and Diablo 3 was made in-house by Blizzard. So the people that made Diablo 3, I mean, I can't be for sure. It's just a theory in my head, but I think they didn't really understand what Diablo is. Plus, the acquisition of Blizzard by Activision played a large role in how that game is designed and how that game was, what they demanded to be in that game. So it was dumbed down a lot. You had a lot of creative freedom when making a character in Diablo 2, and it was very punishing if you skilled something wrong. So you couldn't just go back and refresh that character. I mean, you could, but you had to work for it, and you couldn't do it infinite times. So there was a big punish.
Like most old school RPG, you had to
actually
make choices.
Yes, exactly. Your choices did matter a lot in your character build. And not only that, but the creativity and build variety you had in Diablo 2 was mind-blowingly big. So you could make characters that were completely not meant to be, like like for example a sorceress who uses a sword and fights in melee combat. So like crazy stuff like that. And Diablo 3 took that away completely. The build variety was gone. You couldn't set your stats anymore, like strength or vitality. The game did that for you. So there wasn't any creativity in building your character. You could switch between skills at any point. There was no repercussions for skilling something wrong or something like that. Your character just learned everything at the same time. So the element of building a character was gone completely. Secondly, the story was very, very badly written.
So the lore took a dip too.
Yes, the lore, not only the gameplay, but the lore took a dip as well, and a big one. And I think the moment where I realized that I'm playing a bad Diablo game is when they killed off Deckard Cain the Elder.
Sure.
And his death was, first of all, it was completely unnecessary. And second of all, it was so anticlimactic that it really pissed me off a lot. So yeah, I finished that game, but I will never touch it again, and it should burn in hell, in my opinion.
Okay.
Along with the demons.
So did you do you know if they fixed any of this? Because I know a lot of people actually were disappointed at the start, and then when they fixed some of the stuff, they removed the auction house and started to
Yes.
publish
I'm
the
aware that
expansion.
they fixed a lot, and I didn't even touch a lot of stuff that's wrong with that game. So there's a lot more wrong with Diablo 3 than what I just said. But
Okay.
I don't think that the design philosophy of that game is so deep that maybe you can polish it a little bit more and change some stuff. But the core gameplay and the core, you can't just change the lore. The lore is still
Sure.
there, and I think the core gameplay of Diablo 3 is still there. The design of that game runs so deep that you can't just change everything and have a totally different game. Then it's still Diablo 3 in a way.
Okay.
And
I see.
yes, you're right. They changed a lot of stuff, and they definitely made a lot of stuff better. But it's not enough for me that I'm saying, okay, you saved the game. It's still a shit game with a cherry on top,
Yeah. The core is still flawed. Okay. Well, yeah. Actually, it's a problem I have with most modern RPGs. The one we were talking about not having choices and not having builds.
Yes.
Like they want you to never make mistakes, pretty much.
Yeah, or if you make mistakes, you can correct them very easily, which is not the point of an RPG.
Yeah, exactly. It loses a lot. It loses even a lot of the
the
things you would came across in the situation you created yourself because you maybe did your build wrong or you couldn't save at every point.
I fully agree. Yeah.
You had to deal with a lot of the consequences of what you did. And
a lot of the tension gets lost.
Yeah, exactly. So what about action games and Ninja Gaiden? How did you discover Ninja Gaiden?
That's funny because I remember that day very clearly as well.
Okay.
And I was at a friend's house, and when the original Xbox was fairly new, and he was playing Ninja Gaiden, and I just stepped in, and the first thing I saw, he was playing Ninja Gaiden 04, of course. There wasn't Ninja Gaiden Black back then. And he was in the Aqueducts. I don't know how familiar you are with that game.
Yeah, I know it a lot. It was one of my favorite action games.
So he was in the Aqueducts, in that little section where there's water, and he used the flails to kill an imp. And he was using the fast flail swing, that repeated attack that Ryu does, where he swings the flail left and right.
Sure.
And he did that attack, and that's the first thing I saw of that game, like this. And the game looks fucking amazing on the Xbox. It was the best looking game on that console, and it still is. So first of all, I was blown away by how the game looks, and I'm a big Ninja fan overall. So seeing a new Ninja game like this, it blew my mind. I was looking at it, and I remember thinking, "Holy shit, this is the best game I've ever seen." And I was totally right. I was totally right. Yeah, I played it and I fell in love with it instantly. I couldn't put it down for months. I was playing it constantly.
So do you prefer Ninja Gaiden Black or Ninja Gaiden 2?
That's a difficult question that I get asked very often, and I always try to avoid it because those two games are very, very different.
Yeah, absolutely.
The gameplay philosophy of both games is so different that I don't like to compare them. Yes, you play Ryu in both games, and the controls are kind of the same, but how you approach those games is very, very different. So I love both games for very different reasons. But if you want to ask me which game is more fun to me, most of the time, it would be Ninja Gaiden 2, definitely.
Okay. So you prefer the more aggressive playstyle and then aggressive enemies of 2?
Most of the time, yes. But I also prefer Ninja Gaiden Black for its defensive tactical gameplay.
Sure.
You can be aggressive in Ninja Gaiden Black, but not in the way you can in Ninja Gaiden 2.
Yeah.
But I love both games for different reasons. It depends on what mood I am.
Okay. So I saw that in Steam you always talk about the Itagaki.
Yes, of course.
So what made you fall in love with his design? What is the design decision he does that really makes makes it so you like their games, his games?
Well, that's kind of difficult to answer because, as I told you before, when I was younger, I didn't really care about any of that stuff. I didn't think about the people behind those games. I just played the games and decided if I like them or not. So when I played Ninja Gaiden, I didn't really think about why I like it. I just liked it, and as time went on, I played Ninja Gaiden 2, and I thought, damn, this is a perfect sequel for the first game. I liked everything about it. And the first time I really thought about who made those games was when I played Ninja Gaiden 3.
Okay.
And
Okay, I see where this is
I
going.
didn't think, yeah, you already see where this is going, because I didn't question the quality of the franchise. I just went there and bought it, being sure that it will be an amazing game. It didn't cross my mind that there was any possibility that I didn't like Ninja Gaiden 3. Because it was impossible for me.
It was Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, it's Ninja Gaiden and it has to be good, right? So I didn't think about it, and just went and bought it for the PlayStation 3 back then. I remember very distinctly. And I put it in, and I finished it in about 6 hours. So I sat there and I was thinking to myself, it can't be. It can't be that I'm not liking this game. That I played it wrong, or I must have done something wrong. So I played it again, and I really realized, damn, this game is really, really shit. So that was the first time when I started looking up who is making games.
Okay.
Because I wanted to know what went wrong with that game, and that's when I first found out who Itagaki is in the first place, because I didn't care before. So yes, that was the first time that I found out about him, and that was also the first time when I started thinking what made those games so good and why I didn't like the third one. So yeah, that's when it all started.
And why did you what did you discover? Like, what was the thing that wasn't in 3 that was in 1 and 2?
First of all, it's the simple things that you realize when first playing the game that are changed. I mean, Ninja Gaiden 2 changed quite a bit in comparison to Ninja Gaiden Black, but I think it kept the core philosophy of what makes Ninja Gaiden, and the third one completely threw all of that out of the window. Like, I start with the simple examples, like there is no essence in the game anymore.
Okay.
For many, that will sound like it's not a big deal, but it very much is, because
the essence system is one of the most important aspects in Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2.
Yes, exactly. It's mind-baffling.
It fits back in the combat loop, and on the macro decision you do every time. Like, do I don't heal and wait for a blue, or just do I use a blue for an UT? Or, okay, maybe I'll try and stay at low health, so blue essence spawns more and I can use it for UT, but then I'm at risk of dying and all those stuff.
Yes, and we are both just touching the tip of the iceberg here, because there's so much more to essence.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's how much essence you get when you kill an enemy. It's like how much of a combo do I have to do to get a multiplier of so-so, or do I have to stay below 20 hits to get colored orbs? Or how big is the essence orb? You can see how much an essence is worth by how big the orb is actually. And you can use them for UTs. You can use them for setups. You can drag the essence in the next fight if you're really good. In Black, even more so than in 2. There's so much to essence that removing that, and I didn't even touch the purpose of essence to buy items.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's so much to essence that removing that little thing changes the game in such a dramatic way that it's almost a different game. And with Ninja Gaiden 3, that's the case. I mean, when you look at it, it looks like Ninja Gaiden, but if you play it, it doesn't play like Ninja Gaiden at all. So essence is one aspect. The second is removing items and Muramasa's shop.
Okay. They removed it completely. Okay, and actually never played 3.
Yeah, there is no shop. There are no items at all, like no healing items, no ninpo items. There isn't even there is a ninpo meter, but it's completely changed from what ninpo was. Ninpo had a tactical purpose as well, because you had a choice when to use it or when to not use it. Ninja Gaiden 3 basically forces you to use it sometimes, because it's pointless not to use it in some aspects. And I don't want to go too deep into it, but yeah, changing that stuff changed a lot about the game as well, because you can't heal on the fly anymore, and that's a big deal. I mean, a lot of us play without healing potions anyway, but that's a choice we make, not a choice the game forces us upon us. So not having that option, it takes a lot of the tactical aspect away from that game as well. So I didn't like that, but I was still like, okay, I'm just gonna keep playing. Maybe the game has some other redeeming qualities that I might like, But it was just, it felt like Ninja Gaiden 3 just was removing stuff, but wasn't adding anything new, to compensate for that cut of content. And to be fair, I have to say I was playing the original version of Ninja Gaiden 3. There was no Razor's Edge back then, so. Another aspect that a lot of us were very pissed about was removing all of the weapons.
Yeah, you only had the sword, right?
Yeah, and that was the most insane thing about the game, in my opinion, when I first played it, because I could look past Essence and I could look past the shop and stuff like that, but just a sword, that was the what really made me hate the game and not only dislike it a little bit. And there's much more wrong with it, but those are just a few things that make me say, okay, this is not Ninja Gaiden anymore. I mean, to anybody who likes that game, I will say it's an amazing action game for sure. I can't deny that, especially Razor's Edge. If you haven't played a Ninja Gaiden game ever before, and play Razor's Edge for the first time, you'll probably like it. And there's nothing wrong with the game by itself.
Yeah. It's not. It's a good game. It's not a good Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best action games out there. I would even go as far as that. But as a continuation of the franchise, it is a total disgrace. It's not a good Ninja Gaiden game, but it is a good action game.
I'm actually really curious. The only one I even tried is 3 and 3 Razor's Edge. Like 3, I don't even want to touch. But I'm actually curious about Razor's Edge. I did hear some good stuff about it.
Yeah, I played Razor's Edge as well, because of course I was curious and wanted to know what they changed, and I played it a couple of times even. And it's a lot better compared to Ninja Gaiden 3, definitely. But I'm one of those weird people that actually is invested in the lore of Ninja Gaiden.
Oh, okay.
So for every time I hear someone say nobody cares about the story or there is no story, I'm getting so triggered because there is a lot of story, and the game doesn't shove it in your face, but the story is there. And if you wanna get invested in it and know more about the people in that world, you can. And it is amazing. The dialogues are just fantastic, in my opinion. They're cheesy, of course, but they have to be cheesy. It's not it's not an Oscar story, but the story is exactly what it needs to be to set the mood, and that's perfect. And I'm very much into cheesy action movies, so I like the story a lot. I like Ryu. I like the silent, strong character that he is. He doesn't talk much, but when he says something, it has a lot of weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing that I don't like about Ninja Gaiden 3, because Ryu keeps talking all the fucking time in that game, and he never says anything that's really good. So they changed his character a lot in that game. It's not Ryu, and if you know how Ryu would behave, he doesn't behave like Ryu in that game. So there's a lot of disappointing aspects to that game, but I like the story of Ninja Gaiden, and I think more people should read more of those notes they find on those.
Yeah, I always ignore them. I actually don't think I ever read any of them.
There's some amazing stuff in that in those notes, and you can feel that the people that made Sigma series and Ninja Gaiden 3 probably didn't read those notes as well, because if you read them, there are aspects to those notes that that are very important to Ninja Gaiden lore and to the gameplay philosophy that get completely ignored in the third title.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And yes, you can find that in those notes.
I should read them sometimes.
I give you an example. There is a note of a dead ninja who makes fun of the tech ninja because Ryu kills them all, and then you find that corpse of a ninja, and he writes something like, serves those ninja right for relying on firearms.
Oh, okay, sure.
So you can see the ninja honor of using only swords, and he makes fun of those tech ninja because they use firearms. Now, if we look at Sigma 2, we all know that Ryu has a cannon in that game.
Okay.
So obviously, Hayashi didn't bother to read those notes and knows nothing about Ryu's philosophy not using a gun, because real ninjas don't use fucking guns. They use a sword and melee weapons and maybe throwing weapons, which also got removed in Sigma 2. So you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
I'm not only mad at those games for little reasons. It's so much wrong with those games if you're into Ninja Gaiden that I can't play them. I can't even look at them, really.
So you're not a fan of the Sigma remakes either?
Oh, hell no. No. I mean, Sigma 1 is okay. I guess it's there's nothing really wrong with that game, except for some little technical stuff. But Sigma 1 is fine. It's not bad at all. There are changes to the game, but
the fact that
I'm not against changes.
All the stuff about exploration is a real shame.
Yes, that's that is what bothers me a lot, and they did that in Ninja Gaiden 2, Sigma 2 as well. They basically removed all the keys you find and opened all doors for you, like you are a total idiot and can't open the door. It feels like that, And I know what they tried to do with it. They wanted to streamline the action. I mean, in their
it was already
mind,
like pretty much a linear game.
Yeah, the action is already streamlined, So
they wanted to focus
I know what they.
That.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, they wanted to focus more on that. Go ahead.
Yes, exactly. They wanted to streamline it more, and I get that, and it makes sense when you read it on paper, But when you play the game, there's so much more to those keys, because every item you find in Ninja Gaiden 2 has a description to it. So there's a big ass text for every item you find, and the description of those keys are probably the best lore in that game from all of the notebooks, because there are so good stories to those key descriptions. That is such a shame that those were taken out. It's a big chunk of lore that's just not in the game anymore, and you can't find it anywhere else. So yeah, I don't like that.
No, that's
I really don't.
Interesting, actually. I never really talked with people that were really into the lore.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm maybe weird with that, but I think if you like ninjas, then reading those notebooks and the descriptions to all the items, to the ninpo, to the weapons, it's just amazing. You can even learn a little bit about Ryu's character. I mean, if you read the description to the Vigorian flail, there is a little quote from Ryu at the bottom where it says that somebody once asked Ryu what he thinks of the flail. And I can't remember exactly what he says, but it's something like, yeah, it's pretty good. So you can see that he really, really likes the flail, So and it's little stuff like that you really never get to know otherwise, and it's a real shame.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's something like they didn't really care about anything, just wanted to do the action, which in some aspect can be good, like for an action game, but it does lose us a bit. I agree with that. So what about action game in general then? Like, are you into like stuff like DMC, God of War, and all the stuff, or just Ninja Gaiden?
Yeah, I mean, I play, as I said, I play a lot of different games. I'm not only playing action games, but I love God of War, for example, the trilogy as well as the new one.
Okay.
I have to say I prefer the combat system of the older titles, but I still love the new game because I personally play God of War for the story. No joke. I play it on the hardest setting because I think the game shines the most on the hardest setting, like every time. but I'm not very good at the game. Let me say that. I can beat it, but I can beat it very clumsy and not very beautifully. So I play God of War if I want to experience the story again, and I never got into the deep tech of that game, but I love it a lot. DMC, I never got really into DMC. I played the first one for a little bit, and I don't know, it wasn't my thing really. But it's so long ago that I played it last time. I definitely want to give it a shot.
Yeah,
again,
give it another shot. It's an
yes,
amazing game.
So many people are telling me, dude, you gotta play this game. Do it already.
1 and 3 especially are really, really solid.
Yes, that's what I hear a lot, and yeah, I can't run away for much longer, so I really have to play DMC in the near future. Yes.
And if you want to go a bit more deep on God of War, the thing I can tell you is do a NOR upgrade learn.
Okay.
Like we're doing no upgrades run in God of War, especially 1 and 2. You start to really see what all the mechanics are about, and you start to utilize all the grabs and
I can imagine
using enemy as a projectile to do more damage, using all setups like ring outs and stuff like that, and it becomes really fantastic.
Yeah, I gotta say something on that because I recently saw a little tutorial on launchers in God of War, and to be honest, I never ever used launchers in that game. Never.
Yeah, it's
because yeah, you technically you don't really need them.
Yeah, the game doesn't never pushes you really.
Yeah, exactly. So I used them like a little bit here and there, but I never thought like, oh, you can really do something with that. I never thought about it, and I watched a little tutorial on that, and it blew my mind. And I was thinking like, how the fuck did I play this game for such a long time? I did it all wrong.
Yeah, it happens to everyone.
Yeah, I did it all wrong. I gotta play it again now. So yeah, I wanna get a little bit deeper into God of War, definitely. But I just can't let my hands off Ninja Gaiden. I don't know, man. It's just the game just keeps pulling me back. I can't leave it for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a fantastic game. Like, there's no. The thing about Ninja Gaiden 2, especially, is that there is no other game like it. Like, it's a completely unique.
I agree. There's nothing like Ninja Gaiden 2.
For some aspect, it can be a bit broken. Like, some of the design decisions are a bit borderline.
Oh, the game is totally broken.
Stuff
from start to finish.
Even stuff like the most of the bosses are pretty crap. Like the Worm and the Gigadeath and all that stuff. But
I mean, there are a couple shitty bosses, and I think there are not a lot of shitty bosses. There are just a couple shitty ones. I think the problem is that most of them are not good enough. That's really the problem here. They are not shit because I like fighting the greater fiends. Yeah,
the greater fiends and Genshin are really good. Genshin
Genshin is definitely the best boss fight in the game, in my opinion. And Dagradai is also an amazing boss fight.
Oh, you like Dagradai? Okay.
Oh yeah, Dagradai is amazing because he forces you to use so much of your arsenal and so much strats that he's the most demanding boss for sure, and a very difficult, in my opinion, the most difficult boss as well.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, no, I think
he's very fun to fight.
The problem with bosses in Ninja Gaiden in general, both 1 and 2, is that they don't really like. I think the combat system on Ninja Gaiden shines when you're fighting against multiple enemies. So just like fighting just a boss, especially in 2, it can be a bit boring. It can also a bit repetitive. Like most of them are like have kind of simple pattern, and you dodge and then attack, and you dodge and then attack. Like you lose all the intricacies you have when you fight boards.
I mean, you're saying that, and I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm generalizing, obviously. Like
no, I want to say you're right, but you're saying that from someone that already knows the game pretty well. If you're new to that game, it won't be at all like that for you.
Oh yeah,
the bosses will crush you.
They are hard as fuck.
Yeah, they're you won't even recognize any pattern at all. You will say there is no pattern to this madness. But yeah, I agree. If you get to know the game better, you can see the little nuances of the patterns and can manipulate the bosses pretty easily. And that makes them very easy. I agree. But yeah, as a new player, you will just get crushed.
Oh, absolutely. Like I remember being destroyed by Alexei.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, the bosses could be a little better. I think Ninja Gaiden Black overall has a much better boss design.
Yeah, especially because it starts to add more enemies when you go to very hard on the Master Ninja.
Yeah, I think Ninja Gaiden 2 is all about crowd control and the D-limb system. Those two things, and iframes. Learning the iframe system really, really well. That's when the combat shines the most. Lots of enemies, lots of dangerous attacks from them. Yeah.
So I saw on your channel that you do a lot of challenge runs, both for NGB and NG2. So what do you do only for Ninja Gaiden, or you do it for other games? Like, are you interested in challenge run in general?
Usually I do them just for myself in other games, because I don't know if it's possible or if I can finish them. And not that often. I think Ninja Gaiden is the only game that really pushes me to do even more challenge runs, because if you play a game for a very, very long time, and you're starting to look for stuff you haven't done yet, so you can have more content to play the game again and again and again,
Absolutely.
So I think what motivates me the most to do challenge runs in Ninja Gaiden is that I'm searching for stuff that makes the game fresh, so I can play it again and have a new experience with it. So with other games, I don't really need that, so because I don't play them that often. So I think Ninja Gaiden is the only game that makes me do crazy stuff like that.
Okay. So how did you recently did the Challenge of the Gods, right?
Yeah.
So how did you learn about the challenge? Like, what was the idea behind it? Like, did you
basically? Do you know a speedrunner named Digital T?
Yes.
Yes, he speedruns Ninja Gaiden Black and Ninja Gaiden 2 and lots of other games, but let's stay on the topic of Ninja Gaiden. And he basically came up with this, and I remember he telling me about, hey, do you think that it would be possible to beat this game on Master Ninja without dying at all, and no saving, and a new game file? So nobody has ever done it before. And I was like, dude, you're fucking crazy. The fuck are you talking about? No, no. Who in his right mind would ever try a run like this? It's like a 15-hour run. Who would ever do that? And he kept pushing me, and he was like, come on, man, you gotta try this and shit. And he was like, okay, we're gonna try this together. And we wrote a whole a guide basically for that run about a year ago. And so the idea for that run was about 1.5 years ago. Yeah, it's been a long time. And yeah, it's we wrote a whole guide. It was like 25 pages, and but nobody really started attempting the run because we were fucking scared as shit.
So what are the rules for people that don't know them?
The rules are, in a nutshell, you have to start a new game, a fresh new game file. You have to play on Master Ninja, the highest difficulty, and you have to play the whole game in one single segment without saving and without using any checkpoints. That's basically, in a nutshell, the rules. There are some other small stuff that you need to be aware of, but that's basically it.
Okay. So you were writing the guide with Digital T, and then what happened?
And then basically we were just writing strats and boss strats and writing on the guide, and I was making tutorials as well. So we kept pushing it and running away from the challenge. So one day I just decided to try it out, and start a run, and it was very, very frustrating. So I died a lot, and I didn't touch it for several weeks. But I kept trying because I thought it was possible. So yeah, it's a very long story, but basically.
Go ahead. I like long stories.
Yeah, but it's a long story of frustration and a lot of deaths. So I try to bring more people to run it, because if you have others doing the same thing that you do, you can motivate each other.
Of course.
If you're doing a thing alone and just by yourself, it's like, why am I even doing this? So I tried to get more people into it, and I was successful. And at one point, it was like 10 people on Twitch that were trying this challenge and running it. So every time I didn't run, I could watch someone else try it and get an idea of new strats or look at how someone else does something. And it was very fun. So we kept pushing each other, you know? So one day I tried it, and all went really, really well. And I started to realize, damn, if I really do this run, it's going to be like 10, 15 hours straight gameplay, you know? And usually I don't play for that amount of time because you lose your concentration. You can't
especially
focus
with
anymore.
that level of focus. Like
Yeah, exactly. You make mistakes just because you're tired. And I think that was the biggest challenge in that run overall, that consistency of focus and persistence. And I think after a while, using safe strats also is very boring. So you start to want to have a little fun, and you start making mistakes because of that as well. So it's as a player, it's a very strict and safe run, if you will, and it can get really boring after a while, and it's very, very tiring. So I didn't know what to expect, but I just kept playing, and I got further and further, and one day I just beat it. Like it was very, very sudden, because when you start a run like this, you don't think, today's the day. You just think, I'm probably gonna die and play something else. And it was very surprising to get that far. And then if you get that far and play like for 8 hours, you think, okay, if I die now, I will never do this ever again. Because it's so frustrating to die after like 8 or 9 hours, you know, and go back all the way to the beginning. But thankfully I made it. The first time I made it far, I finished the run, actually.
I saw that live. That was fantastic. He actually tells...
Oh yeah, you were there for some of the stream, I remember.
He actually tells you a lot about Ninja Gaiden 2 in general. Like the hardest the levels are the first ones. Like the moment you went after level 4, you pretty much had the run.
I would say pretty much 3. I think after you beat Gigadeath, it's pretty straightforward, and there are some major choke points for sure. But the game loses a lot of its danger because you have more essence later on. You have more weapons, more ninpo. You can rely a little bit more on talismans. But there's still some big bullshit in that game. For example, sometimes when a boss battle starts, the first time when you come to a boss and the boss fight starts up, for like the first second you can't move.
Okay.
I don't know why that is, but the game is just programmed that way. The boss battle starts and everything is running. It's not a cutscene anymore. So it starts and you can't move for a second or so. If you die at the boss, the next time it reloads, that is gone. You can move instantly from the beginning. But just the first time when you arrive at the boss, it's just so weird that you can't move for a second. So when I first came to the Blind Giant in Chapter 4, he has an attack where he just insta-kills you. He does so much damage that it's an insta-kill. If you get hit, you will be dead. There's nothing you can do. So if he starts with that attack, you see where this is going, and I can't move.
Okay.
I will die, and there's no way to avoid it, you know?
Oh, there's no way at all? So like...
Yeah, there's no way, because I can't do anything. I can't
so it starts
charge
before...
Ninpo.
Okay.
I can't do Ninpo, I can't dodge, I can't... Because Ryu's just standing there like a stone. So, that's the first time I lost the talisman, actually, and... yes, you are right. The hardest levels are the first 3, but there are examples like that where you can die like in an instant, and it's not even your fault. So the game keeps being stressful, very stressful, but it loses the overall difficulty that the first 3 chapters have. I totally agree.
Especially because you have a lot more resources. You start having talisman. You start having a lot of essence. Especially if you know how to farm essence in that game. You can have a lot.
Yes.
So what were the section you were more afraid of, or like the section that you thought they were easy and then like surprised you and were harder than you thought?
Well, I didn't think at all that anything will be easy and surprise me to be hard. But I think the part in the game where I'm most scared of is the second Zidonius battle.
Okay, sure.
Because it is so easy to fall into the lava there, and he can just insta kill you when you're in the lava with a fire pillar or something. So you lose a lot of movement control in that stage and in that boss fight, because you have very little place to maneuver. And if he just decides to stay in the air and spawn Gajas, you're pretty much fucked. So yeah, I think that's the biggest scary part for me after Chapter 3, the second Zidonius fight.
And I'm really curious at this point. How did you specifically prepare or practice for a run like this long? Like, did you have,
honestly,
like...
I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't practice. I didn't practice for the run specifically for the run at all, because I play this game for about 13 years now.
Okay.
And I pretty much, I mean, there's always something new I learn about this game. I don't want to say that I know everything, because I just can't. I can't know everything. But I know a hell of a lot about this game, and I know the level structure and what enemies are exactly where, and how to go into a fight, and all the safe strats. So I didn't really have to practice. I just had to think how to approach a fight. That's all. And it was pretty straightforward. I didn't have any choke points where I thought, oh, I don't know what to do here. I always know exactly what to do where. So the difficult part for me was not the practice. It was really staying awake for 15 hours.
Okay.
that was really the difficult part for me. And not, when I'm playing, I can't make something to eat, or can't make something to drink, or if I'm in the middle of playing, I also forget. I forget to drink and eat, and I'm very lucky to have good friends and a good wife who feed me during a run like this.
That's great.
that sounds a little bit weird, but it is exactly like I said. I get fed sometimes if I do a run like this.
So you actually did did it once, and then you did it again with no despawns. Like, what made you say, okay, I want to do this again?
Yes, I did it once, and then I did it again like a few weeks later, because in the initial run we allowed despawning, because we thought, come on, the game is already difficult enough, we don't need to be that try-hardy about it. But I always said that if it is possible to do it with despawns, if I ever do it like that, I will do it again and try without despawning, because I mean, it's a lot more impressive if you don't despawn anything, and a lot more difficult. A lot of parts of the game that are very easy to avoid when you do it with despawns become one of the most difficult parts. For example, having to do the big staircase instead of just running up the stairs is very scary after 10 hours,
Yeah.
It is like it is, because if I can just despawn it, I can just run up the stairs and go straight up to Liz and fight her. But if I have to do it and kill every enemy, I have to stay at the bottom of the stairs and kill like everything that comes at me, and it's like 120 enemies at that section. So stuff that was just a 10-second section before becomes like a 10-minute fight in a run like this. So yeah, it was like 3 or 4 more hours on top of the run that I had to do.
Wow.
Like 15 hours,
Jesus
15,
Christ.
16.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a lot tougher, but it was also it was a lot more fun, because there are a lot more fights you have to do.
So do you have any plans to push it further? Like, do water limitation, like no UTVs or stuff like that?
Actually, I just recently did another world's first on Ninja Gaiden 2, and it was
wow.
no upgrades run on Master Ninja.
Okay. Oh, that was never be done? Never done?
No, nobody has ever done. To my knowledge, nobody has ever done that before. There are a few no upgrades runs of Sigma 2 and of Ninja Gaiden 2, but of Ninja Gaiden 2 only unfinished runs, like until chapter 4 or 5. and of Sigma 2, and I don't want to say any names, but everybody can look those runs up. People did no upgrades runs, but used the True Dragon Sword in Chapter 11.
Okay.
And I don't know, it kind of defeats the purpose for me, so I wouldn't call a run like that legit. If you say no upgrades, then it is no upgrades, you know.
So you ban the True Dragon Sword too. So you don't use the TDS at all?
Yes, I didn't upgrade anything. I didn't upgrade my health bar. I didn't upgrade the Ninpo. I didn't upgrade any weapon. I stopped using the sword after you get the True Dragon Sword, and I stopped using the Blade of the Archfiend after you get it. So I think if you do a no upgrades run, it should be exactly like that, or else it defeats the purpose of doing it.
Yeah, because the True Dragon Sword is extremely powerful at that point. So
yeah, just because you don't upgrade it yourself doesn't mean it's not an upgrade. You know, it's just you're just loopholing. You know.
Yeah.
So you're just lying to yourself if you use it. So yes, there are no upgrade runs, but people have upgraded health bars and use the True Dragon Sword. So I wouldn't call those no upgrade runs.
Okay. So
without diminishing the skill of the player.
Yeah,
I don't want to say the people are playing shitty or something like that. I'm saying that if you call a run no upgrades run and use upgrades, then it's not really a no upgrades run. You know.
Yeah, I can see that. So what did change of the run? Like, did you do it single segment too, or just save?
No, oh hell, God, no.
Okay.
I was actually I attempted that run a lot of times, but I never could do the Chapter 11 Rasetsu battle. So I was stuck there like every time. And in the latest run, I streamed the whole thing, and I think I was for 3 or 4 days stuck at that fight. So
okay.
I don't think that single segment is even possible in this, because you die a lot because you have such a small health bar that just everything touching your elbow basically kills you. So I was stuck at that fight for a long time.
I'm actually really curious. What was the strat for the Double Rasetsu fight?
The Rasetsu strat was I went with a lot of strats, but what I ended up doing was just using the Tonfa. Okay. And you pretty much have to be very, very consistent with the Tonfa and everything it can do, especially Heavenly Justice and its counters. So you have to be very consistent in countering Rasetsus, very consistent in Heavenly Justice. And the thing about the Tonfa that made it better for this specific fight, better than any other weapon, is the following part. When you charge up a UT, and you realize, oh no, I don't have the time to charge it up and let it go prematurely, you get hit.
Okay.
By Rasetsu's wind blades or whatever. You know, you charge, and then you see Rasetsu charging a wind blade, and you're thinking, damn, my time is not enough to charge that UT. He will hit me 100%. So you let it go, and you get hit anyway.
Okay.
The Tonfa doesn't have that, because the Tonfa has actual iframes during its UT whiff. So
okay,
if you charge a UT and you see, because there are 3 Rasetsus, and it's completely RNG when they will shoot wind blades. So you charge it up, and at the same time you see a Rasetsu shoot wind blades, you just let it go without charging, and the wind blade will just go through you without touching you.
Okay, that's really cool, actually. I never knew that.
Yeah, so no other weapon has that. Every other weapon you will get hit if you not charge up the UT fully. So that is key to that fight, because you need the UTs for the damage, and you need the counters for the damage. So whiffing UTs and not get hit is better than any other weapon you can use in that fight. So that's basically what it comes down to.
And how do you deal with the ninjas? Because you don't have wind blades upgraded either, so...
Tonfa UTs and level 1 wind blades. Aiming the wind blades and using the Tonfa for a lot of OTs and a lot of UTs. And also getting the Rasetsus to shoot the ninja, because they don't respawn if Rasetsus kill them. So Rasetsus wind blades actually kill the enemy ninja. So running around a bit, letting them shoot. Also, you can get rid of the ninjas pretty easily that way.
Okay, I see that. Like, that seems extremely hard, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, pretty easily is maybe not the right word for it, but you can get buy the ninjas relatively safe if you use. Yeah. But it's not like, I mean, I use all of my health items and talismans until the ninjas are gone. Don't get me wrong. And then I'm like left with the Rasetsus with like 1 or 2 grains, and that has to be enough. But the problem is you don't do any damage at all to them, because level 1 weapons do so little damage that the whole gauntlet took me like 20 minutes.
Jesus, okay.
Yes, it is a 20-minute section if you do it and don't die. So killing one Rasetsu is harder than killing any boss in that game.
Yeah, I can
because
see
you can't delimb him, so you can't kill him. So you have to delete his health bar, like slowly, very slowly. So yeah, every Rasetsu is like 10 bosses in that game, and there are like 6 of them. Jeez. So yeah, it's very long and tedious battle.
Yeah, are there other like specialty art sections with the new upgrades?
Yes, the Rasetsu battle in chapter 10.
Okay,
basically. Yes, because those are 9 Rasetsus even, but it's a little bit easier than the Rasetsu battle in chapter 11, because after the initial 3, you get them like 1 at a time if you're good and quick about killing them. So, and you're not confined to this little arena space. You can run back and forth. You have more room to maneuver. So it's not that hard as in chapter 11, but it's still the hardest thing despite chapter 11 Rasetsu battle in the whole run, I would say.
And I'm guessing the bosses are hard too with the low damage they do.
No, I wouldn't say so. The bosses are not especially hard. They are just more tedious because you need longer to kill them, and you don't have the iframes some weapons provide. But they are not too tough. I would say the most difficult part about this run is definitely all Rasetsu level 2 fights, and all enemies you cannot delim.
Okay.
Because if you have low damage weapons, all you have left is the delim system.
Yeah,
that's
of course.
The whole reason that run is possible in the first place. So if you can't delim an enemy, it's a nightmare to kill him. Like dogs or centaurs or the red dragons or Rasetsus in that case. I think those are the only real choke points that you will encounter in a run like this.
Okay, no, that's really interesting actually. I never knew like no one actually did the upgrade line. I thought it was something pretty basic. Instead, it actually
I thought so as well. But after researching it, I couldn't find a single run of anybody who did that. I mean, I can be wrong. I mean, maybe someone did it and didn't record it. I mean, how should I know? But I'm going off if I can find a recording of it. You know. So if I can't find a recording on it on YouTube or on Twitch, I'm just assuming nobody has ever done it. And of course, anybody can feel free to correct me on that. And I would like to see that run, because I'm always into challenge runs of other people, because you can always learn something new. But to my knowledge, there is nobody that has ever done that.
Yeah, that seems incredible. Like, congratulations on the run. Like, that was...
Thank you very much.
I need to... It's on... I'm guessing the VOD is on Twitch, right?
Yes, I saved all the VODs as highlights on Twitch, and
okay, I need to watch that.
It is about 10 VODs, I think, and you can watch them in the compilations.
So, do you have any other plans for other challenge runs at the moment?
Well, I thought about doing No Death, No Save from NGB.
Okay. Single segment or?
Yes, single segment, of course. But as I recently found out, like 1 or 2 months ago, an amazing player already did that, and his name is Wyansus. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm sorry if I'm if I pronounced that wrong, but his name is Wyansus, and he did Ninja Gaiden Black, no save, no death, and no shopping elixirs. So even crazier, even crazier than what I attempted to do. So I have a lot of respect for that player, and I just seeing that run made me realize I don't want to attempt it, because somebody already did a crazier version of that. So I have no motivation anymore to do that.
Okay.
But I don't know actually what to do next. I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure yet.
Okay. So do you have any? I saw you did different tutorials for enemies, different tutorials for NGB and NG2 on the channel. Do you have any plans to do
Yes.
something for people that want to prepare or practice for these kinds of run?
Yes and no. I won't do any specific tutorials for runs like this, but I'm not finished with a tutorial series. So, just as a to start this off, basically there are no tutorials for Ninja Gaiden 2 anywhere.
Yeah.
If you want to know about this game, yeah, I mean there are some basic ones. I think one for Sigma 2 and one for Ninja Gaiden 2, but only like basic stuff, like a little bit of movement, a little bit of on landing UT, everything very basic and not where to use it or why to use it. Just here, you can do this in the game. So I think not having tutorials for a game is very. First of all, it's very weird,
Yeah.
and that nobody has ever done that. And second of all, I think the player base could be much bigger if people had a place to go where they could learn something about the game without having to actually ask somebody on stream or on a comment section on YouTube and waiting a week for an answer or something like that. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, so I think doing tutorials is the most logical thing to boost the player base. And so I took it upon myself to make really in-depth tutorials about this game. And I already heard from a lot of players, even long-time players, that I talk about a lot of stuff that not even they did know. Okay. And also I learned a lot of stuff by doing these tutorials that I didn't know before. Because if you're doing a tutorial, you try to be as thorough as possible.
Sure.
So you try to look at all possibilities that somebody could ask for a specific thing, and you try to find those out for yourself first before you can tell anybody else about them. So for the first time, I learned about let me give you an example.
Yeah, go ahead.
I talked about archers in one of my tutorials, and I learned for the first time that it is different what arm you cut off an archer, that he does different things. So if you cut off his right arm, he will do different grabs and attacks than if you cut off his left arm.
Okay,
and
interesting.
I never knew that. I just thought, yeah, he does a couple different suicide grabs, and sometimes he does this, sometimes he does that. But it's not at all like that.
So it depends on the limb that is missing.
Yes,
that's
it
really
depends on what limb. Yes, and I didn't know that for the whole time I was playing this game. And when I made that tutorial, I started to see that in my own recording. You know, I saw, oh man, wait a minute, he does that grab always if I delimb the right arm or the left arm. And so I started to learn myself while doing the tutorial, you know? And that's when people come to me and say, holy shit, I never knew that. And I'm like, yeah, I never knew that as well. Let's help each other, you know? So yeah, I'm expanding the tutorial series.
That's cool.
Definitely, I'm planning to do a tutorial for every enemy that's in the game.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing.
Yes, it is a lot of work though.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah, because getting an enemy to behave in a specific way, you can sit there for hours and wanting him to do an attack, and he will never do it.
So, yeah, and you don't even have like the possibility of using emulators or stuff like that for save states.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's the problem, because I have to do it on a real console in real time, so I can't just use save states, you know, and that makes it even more time consuming.
Yeah, you can see that.
And there are even attacks that I have never seen myself do an enemy. You know, there is a video of an IS ninja kicking Ryu while he's on the floor. I have never seen that attack before. There's only one video on YouTube that has that, you know.
Okay.
And I tried for hours to make the IS ninja do that attack, and I just couldn't. And there are lots of attacks like that that enemies will never do, because they are so situational and built into the AI in such a specific way that you have to do very specific things and be in a very specific situation for the enemy to react in a specific way, you know. So it's impossible for some attacks to be shown, but I try to be as thorough as possible.
Yeah, no, it's a really Ninja Gaiden 2. It's a real strange game in that aspect. Like, enemies have a lot of like situational movement and situational attack that almost never use, if not in that specific situation you need
exactly.
to find.
Yeah. Yeah, but I will definitely expand on those tutorials. I think I've covered all the basic stuff and everything you need to know to be good in combat. I've already covered, but I'm missing a lot of specific stuff like weapon tutorials, boss tutorials, and a lot of enemy tutorials, and those are the most work of them all. So I left those for last. I wanted to get the stuff out that makes people like learn the most basic stuff and deep tech, so they can handle the game without thinking, that's just unfair. Give people the options to do something about that unfairness.
And to that aspect, actually, what do you think is the most important thing to learn at first? Because, like, a lot of people see Ninja Gaiden 2 as, like, an unfair, unbalanced game where the game just kicks you ass all the time.
Yes, well, it is a very unfair and unbalanced game. Let's be clear about that. Ninja Gaiden 2 is not a fair game. It will kick your ass, and there's nothing you can do about it sometimes. But that's part of the charm, I think, because no battle will ever be the same. And controlling enemies in an environment where the stacks are raised against you so high is even more satisfying when you manage to do it. So first of all, yes, Ninja Gaiden 2 is very unfair, and it is very unpolished as well. So sometimes the unfairness comes not by design, which is intended, but comes by a bug or a glitch or a missed OT or something like that. And it's very frustrating when that happens. But let's talk about just the unfairness that is designed and intended. And this type of unfairness is very much what makes the game, in my opinion. Without that, it wouldn't be what it is.
Yeah, the thing is, like, there are some things that can be considered unfair, but you always have tools to deal with them outside of glitches and all of that problems.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yes, you get the tools to deal with everything in that game, but still, sometimes you just can't, because even though you have all those tools, sometimes the game just decides that you're gonna die.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Itagaki decides that.
Yes, Itagaki pushes a button somewhere in the basement and lets everybody die that's playing that game in that instant. Like, that's it. So we always make that joke that the AI in this game is so crazy that it feels like Team Ninja's devs are actually playing every enemy in that game in a basement somewhere. And because every enemy feels like a human player. It's so brilliant.
Yeah, it's what makes Ninja Gaiden 2 is incredible. Like no other games has like this number of enemy with this level of aggression.
Yeah,
like it's pretty much a Musou, but every enemy is like a boss.
Yeah. You pretty much have to. You can get very good at that game, very very good, but you have to really really earn it. Like, to be good at Ninja Gaiden 2 is so much more difficult than any other game I've ever played, because you need to not only battle the enemies, but you have to battle the unfairness that's designed into the game, and that's the really difficult part. But to come back to your question from earlier, to what I think is the most important part to learn about this game, it is that I can't tell you any specific thing besides the obvious stuff, like learning to UT or learning on landing UTs and stuff like that. I wouldn't even go that far. I think the most important thing to learn about this game is that even if you think that something is completely unfair and there's nothing you can do, there probably is always something you can do. And the most important thing to learn is to not give up in that game, I would say. To just be persistent with it, and just to realize that there is no short way of getting good at that game. This game really wants you to play it for a very, very long time until you really understand what is going on screen. So even if I sit there and backseat you and tell you a lot of stuff about it, yes, you can maybe beat a boss or beat a section or something, but to really get good at the game by yourself and to make those split-second decisions that you need to do, like without thinking about them, you need a very, very long time of playtime. So I think that's the most important thing. Just keep playing over and over and over and over. Keep practicing until you can utilize what someone tells you like in an instant without thinking about it.
Okay, yeah, we can see that. Like Ninja Gaiden, it's a game that requires mastery, pretty much, and that comes from experience and nothing more, pretty much.
It's like constantly sharpening your sword, because it is also a game that if you don't play it for a week, you can feel that instantly. You will get pummeled, or if you play the easier modes and then go back to Master Ninja, you have already lost your edge.
Yeah,
and
it happens.
It
happens to me with the NGB too. Like if I don't play it for like a week.
Yes, it's with both of those, and I think it's like constantly keeping your sword at a sharp level.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, it's not like other games where you get good and then you just stay good. You have to constantly play it to be at any level that's satisfactory.
Of course. So yeah, congratulations again with the runs and everything like that. And the tutorials are great too. Like it's really cool to see community effort to push people to learn the games. Especially with,
thank you, man. I really appreciate
really hard games like that. And with stuff
I hope that that more people will get, especially now that the collection releases. I think that many people are gonna play Ninja Gaiden for the first time. And for Ninja Gaiden Black, there are already amazing tutorials out there from JTB. I think everybody knows those.
Yeah.
So I think that having Ninja Gaiden 2 tutorials out there for people to actually have a place to go and learn about the game will be even more important when the collection releases and people will get frustrated. And they will get frustrated.
Absolutely. It's a shame the collection doesn't have NG2 and NGB though.
Yeah, well, it's a shame that the collection has only shit Ninja Gaiden games, but I mean, it is what it is, and I'm not mad about it, because thankfully we already got a remaster on the Xbox One, so I'm glad about that, and I'm happy with what I got. So I'm not gonna get the collection because I already have the better version of the game. But I gotta say, if it had co-op, maybe I would get it, because that's a part of Ninja Gaiden I can't experience in the originals. So that would have been fun and a reason for me to buy it. But since they removed that, I don't have any incentive to buy that collection.
Is that confirmed? They removed every co-op aspect?
Yeah, there is no online at all in those games.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
I'm only interested in trying like Razor's Edge, pretty much. Like Ninja Gaiden Sigma 1 and Sigma 2, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I actually do have Sigma 2 on PS3, but every time I play it, I say, okay, I should be playing Ninja Gaiden 2 instead.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that if you have never played Ninja Gaiden before and will get that collection, and that's your first experience with Ninja Gaiden, there's nothing wrong with it.
I mean, absolutely. Yeah, they are fantastic games on their own right.
Yeah, they are definitely fantastic games. Especially Sigma 1 is pretty faithful to the original. But I gotta say this. There's nothing wrong with liking Sigma 2.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
But to say that Sigma 2 is not Ninja Gaiden 2 and has nothing to do with it, I think is a very fair statement.
Yeah, they are two different games. Like the design is completely
they are very,
different.
very, very different in every way. Like they changed basically everything in that game. So if you play Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, you really haven't played Ninja Gaiden 2. It's just a weird remix of what that game was. It's like the best example I could give. It's like a fan-made hack of a game you already like. So if you know old NES games and old hacks of NES games, there are amazing NES hacks out there. But it's fair to say that if you only play the hack, you have never experienced the original game, and you don't really know what it's all about. And it's the same with Sigma 2. You can play it and have an amazing time, but you really have no idea what Ninja Gaiden 2 is about if you only play Sigma 2.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can see that even like watching a video on YouTube. Like that was what happened to me actually. Like I started with Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 because I never had an Xbox.
Yeah, like many people.
So I saw that it was available on PS3 and say, okay, let me just try it. And I did kinda liked it. And then I went on YouTube and watched a video of the staircase fight from NG2, and I said, okay, I wanna play that one.
Yeah, it's like a completely different universe of gameplay. It's like many people think it's only simple changes because I think you really have to play both games a very, very, not for a very long time, but at least play them both on all difficulty settings to really understand where all the differences are. You can't really tell by just looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of mechanical changes, not only aesthetical changes. Many people talk only about the blood and the enemy count and the difficulty, but it's much, much more than that. Enemies behave differently. You don't have throwing weapons anymore, except for shuriken and the bow. The bow has unlimited arrows and doesn't have a UT anymore. It's like I can talk about an hour what is different in those games, but I won't, because there isn't any point to comparing those.
Yeah, they're two different games.
Just let me tell anyone that's listening to this. Let me tell you this: if you play Ninja Gaiden for the first time and you play Sigma 2 and you like it, find a way to play the original as well, because because you need to experience what that game was.
Go buy a used you buy used a 360 and play it.
Yeah, or I mean, you maybe you know a friend or somebody who has an Xbox or an old Xbox, and just get it for a weekend or something like that. Just I don't tell you to master it. Just play it like once or twice, just to see what the difference is, and maybe you like it more or not. I mean, I can't speak for anyone, but if you like Sigma 2, give the original a chance, because I think the experience of playing that game will blow anyone's mind.
Absolutely. So, what do you... actually curious about something. Ninja Gaiden still has a forum active, right?
What again?
The Ninja Gaiden community still has a forum active, right?
Yes, definitely, yes.
So, it is still... how active is it, actually?
Oh, it is very... it is for... I would say it's very active for the small community that we are. It is pretty active, yes. You can find a new post or an update almost every day.
Okay, that's great.
And for anybody that doesn't know, it is NG Realm. Visit NG Realm if you need a forum.
Absolutely.
Everything
the link
you need
will
to
be
know
in the
about
description.
Ninja Gaiden. Yeah.
Together with the other.
Everything you need to know about those games is basically on that forum. A lot of great players. You will find a lot of help there, and a lot of strats, a lot of runs, challenge runs. We have a legitimate leaderboard up there for karma runs. A lot of stuff. If you're into Ninja Gaiden, visit NG Realm, definitely.
And how is the influx of new players? Like, there are new people that join, or it just...
Oh, yeah. There are a lot of new players. I mean, well, a lot of new players is relative.
Well, a lot for the niche.
Yeah, for a niche franchise and game, there are a lot of new players, especially now that the collection hype is going on a little bit, and I think the player base will grow even more. But I don't think that it will grow so significantly that Ninja Gaiden becomes a...
No, of course not.
Yeah.
No, but it's really cool to see a forum still active that still attracts people.
Oh,
especially not a
definitely.
general, a specific forum like Ninja Gaiden, because it's something like I think that something that is missing from gaming communities in general is a centralized place to put all the information.
Yes, I think Reddit does not provide that at all. Many
Discord
people tell me
in either. So
yeah, Discord for me. Discord, to be real, Discord for me is just a fancy Skype. Nothing more.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't use it at all. I use it like now to talk with you, and like once a year if I really need a conversation with someone, where Twitch chat doesn't suffice, But other than that, I don't use Discord at all. It's just a fancy Skype, and I think Reddit is too much of a wild west for me, because I don't even go to Reddit that much, because I get really triggered really easily. And Reddit is full of people that don't know what the fuck they are talking about. So
yeah, most
every time
subreddits are just
scroll,
memes and shitpost and nothing else.
Yeah, I mean specifically the Ninja Gaiden Reddit now. Because every time I'll scroll through that, and I try to not do it often, but every time I do, I regret it, because I read so much bullshit on there from people that complain about stuff that is just either simply wrong or totally looked at from a place where somebody has no information they can back up, like I played the game like once and write a review and talk about how shitty it is, and I'm like, dude, for like 10 points you wrote in the review, I could have a solution for you, but you never bothered looking that up,
Yeah.
So I try to avoid Reddit because it's full of idiots. But every once in a while,
That's
I
extremely
go on
wise.
Reddit just to see what's going on, if anything new. Because for getting Ninja Gaiden news, it's a good place sometimes. But I try to avoid all those so-called articles of people.
Yeah. No, but the fact that it's a lot of people that don't really know the game. And just
if I see,
but it starts pretty much with every Reddit. Like that happens with every.
Yeah, I can imagine. Every time I see someone complaining about that there is no lock-on in Ninja Gaiden, I immediately get triggered.
Yeah.
Like,
no lock-on,
why are you even
no lock-on and no weapon switching in real time.
yeah. Who gave you the permission to go on the internet? First of all, go away. Yeah. So I can't deal with those people anymore.
No, I mean either. I don't have the patience anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but it's really cool to see like places like NG Realms or Stinger and all these people, these forums that are still active and still are a centralized way to find information. Because the problem with a lot of communities is that it's really hard to find a place where to find info if you want in-depth stuff. Like just looking on Google, you'll never find anything about anything. Like pretty much you'll find the subreddit and that's it. Maybe there is a Discord somewhere where all the the good players
it depends
are.
how big a franchise and a game is, of course. But if you're looking for information for a game that not millions and millions of people are playing, then you will probably have a hard time.
Yeah, but even there, like it's maybe there is like a Discord somewhere with all the great players discussing stuff, but it's really difficult to find. Like if you don't know someone or you don't have an invite, you will never find it. So like having a forum is really cool stuff.
I mean, if you're lucky, someone is streaming it and you can go there and ask a question live. But
it's also it's also difficult for a viewer to see if someone is really good or not. Like if you don't have any knowledge of the game, it's really like difficult to ascertain what the guy is saying is right or wrong. Especially with like complex games like Ninja Gaiden.
Yes, games like that with a lot of deep tech that even experienced players probably don't know about.
Like a lot of people still think that like God of War is like just square triangle. So like I can imagine.
Yeah, because it can be.
Yeah, it can be, but it's much more than that.
That's why.
So like, and a lot of people say the same thing about NG and NG2. Like it's just UT spam and nothing more. Like it.
The thing is,
but you're missing a lot of stuff that makes the game really, really great.
Let me say something about that UT spam. I see a lot of people saying that argument, and you know what people say that? People that don't actually play Ninja Gaiden.
Yes.
And I will tell you why. Because chaining UTs is not an easy thing to do at all.
No, absolutely.
So you need to know a lot about the game to actually be able to leave essence floating and move around and engage in combat without absorbing that essence. In Ninja Gaiden 2, even more so than in Ninja Gaiden Black. So. Because there is a lot to movement without collecting essence and also to combat without collecting essence. So if you see someone chaining a lot of UTs, he's probably a good to mid-range player because you have to know how to do that. So every time I see someone complaining that, oh man, this is just a UT spam run again, I'm thinking, you probably don't know anything about this game.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
You just played it like once or twice and look it up on YouTube, and then you complain about a run, and you don't know at all how much skill goes into chaining that UT from that to there, for example, or to drag the essence into a second fight, because in NG2 you collect the essence automatically. So if there's no enemy around, so you can't just drag it into another fight like you could in NGB.
Mm-hmm. And even dragging in other fights like NGB, it's something that it's really difficult. Like the timing is really strict, especially for some.
Yes, it is.
For some of the encounters, so it's not literally easy as it appears when like a top speedrunner or a top player does that.
Yeah. But you have to know that, if you don't know that, it's very easy to complain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree completely.
So that's I saw in a different podcast of yours where you were talking with Rang, and he was talking about subsequent fairness.
Yes.
That's another thing I see many people complain about in Ninja Gaiden 2, that it's just too hard and too unfair, and they say it's so much bullshit. And the best example for that is the incendiary shuriken spam.
Yeah.
Many people say they like Sigma more because there's no bullshit incendiary shuriken spam anymore. And I mean, I can't really disagree with that, because yes, okay, you can like that more, but you only complain about it because you think there's nothing you can do about it.
Exactly, yeah.
But you just have to play it for 200 hours to get good at it, but you don't want to invest that time to get good at it, so you complain about it being unfair. But it's like it is a very elongated subsequent fairness, if you will, because it's not only the first time unfair, it's unfair the first 500 times. until something makes click in your head and you realize something. And you learn to avoid those IS. And that's when you realize, oh, holy shit, there's a whole mechanic to this game that allows me to iframe those IS, and now there's even another layer upon that combat that I have to manage, and it's even more fun then. But it's very easy to complain about something when you don't know a lot about it. So I stopped having conversations with those people. I stopped trying to tell people that they are wrong, basically, because they are. I mean, it's not about an opinion. I'm not telling people you're not allowed to like this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You can't like if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not trying to change people's minds about what they like, but I was trying to make people realize that they are wrong about the thing they didn't like. If that makes any sense to you.
No, absolutely. It happens all the time with me and Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. Like all the stuff I see about that
then
game.
You know exactly.
Just triggers me to no end.
Yeah. So I stopped doing that because it is very frustrating when you really try to make someone learn something and they just refuse because they don't like it and they just have their mind set up, So I stopped engaging in any conversations on any comment section. Sometimes it still triggers me, and I try to do something, but I very much realize, oh my god, why did I even start this conversation? I quickly delete all of my comments.
You just get angry and waste time.
yeah, it's like, I know, I'm just human after all.
No, it happens to me every time. Like every time I see someone complain about the place your tip check, I'm just triggered.
Yeah.
No, I can see that.
Yeah, I think that's also the reason why this game has such a niche player base, because not only is it very difficult, not only is it very unfair, but it doesn't tell you anything.
No, absolutely. An enormous steep learning curve.
I mean, it just tells you, use L2 to dodge. Oh well, duh, thank you.
But that's the thing I love about the game. Like the fact that the first thing you see after the first cutscene is a ninja going from you. Like you don't have a safe space. You don't have like a tutorial or a place where you're safe and you can try the mechanics. No, it's just like three ninjas in your face.
Immediately surrounded by 5 like people who are willing to give their lives to kill you.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Like that's one of the like I always say that Ninja Gaiden 2 is the most video game.
Yes, it totally is. It is. It's so
pure.
Much video
like
gaming.
in a sense, it's really really pure. And
yes,
even something like the guys with the rocket launchers in the windows.
Yeah,
like that infinitely respawn from the window.
Yeah, it's like a light gun level.
Like it's just like an old arcade or old NES game.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's fantastic. You can't find stuff like that in any other game.
Yes, and you asked me at the start what I like about Itagaki's design philosophies, and I never really answered that. And I really want to get back to that question for a while because it's a perfect time for that. You were talking about that window section and how the game really is, and that's a thing that I enjoy about Itagaki's design philosophy as well, because he's a man who doesn't give a shit about any sort of limitations a console or a system may provide. If he wants something to be in a specific way, he will make it in exactly that way, and he will sacrifice everything for it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But when it works, it's brilliant.
It's fantastic. Yeah,
it's very brilliant. And one of those, I give you an example of that. It's when the IS Ninja throw their shuriken, and there are a lot of them. You can't see anything anymore.
Yeah.
The sound of those explosions is so loud, and it overlaps. And the explosion is so big on screen, and the field of view is so small in the first place.
And if you're playing on 360, the FPS tanks like there's no.
Yes, it tanks like crazy. But did that interest that man? No, it didn't, because he said, that's the point of the game. If the console can handle it, maybe the next one can, and he was right. The next one could. A little bit better.
Yeah, still not
a little
completely.
bit better. We still needed another console generation on top of that to really play that game in 60 FPS like constantly. But there's a lot of design choices that come from that man that sometimes make you shake your head, and sometimes you think, "Damn, I've never seen that in another game before. That's brilliant." But I couldn't give you any specific examples now that I think about it. It's like I really had to think about it to tell you anything about that. But just in general, if you play an Itagaki game, you can feel it's an Itagaki game for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the guy doesn't have any restraints. Like, he doesn't really care about like general design decisions that other games do. Like, he just wants to do what he thinks is fun.
Yeah, and there's this famous quote of him where he says, "It is okay if a game is slightly unbalanced, as long as it brings a certain beauty with it." And I think that quote is on point of what Ninja Gaiden 2 is.
Absolutely,
it is very unbalanced, but it is so beautifully unbalanced that it doesn't bother you at all if you get good at the game. It's like it's like every time it's fresh. It never gets old because no enemy will ever behave the same twice, ever. And I think that's what makes me come back to it all the time.
And I think that's what the industry needs at this point. Like, a lot of like most people that design, especially in AAA, are like obsessed with everything being balanced and everything being on the same level. And it's something like I can work with some stuff like competitive games, or even with some like less deep action games or stuff like that, but like a bit of imbalance really does shine. I mean, in every genre, pretty much.
Yeah,
like when
it does.
Like finding text that is broken, finding like that one item in an RPG that is completely bonkers and changes the way you play. It's something that is really great about gaming in general, and it's something that is missing from the modern.
Let me say something about that broken aspect that you just were talking about. I think I hear that a lot, that people say, "Oh, this is broken," or this is completely broken towards the player or towards the enemies. And I'm thinking, no, it's not broken. It is like that on purpose, just because it is very powerful doesn't mean that it's broken. And people, it's like, for many people, that's the same thing. If something is very powerful, it's automatically broken. But they don't see the purpose of it being very powerful. I give you an example, like wind blades in Ninja Gaiden 2, for example. They can insta-kill every ninja around you with one ninpo if you have it on level 3. So many would say, yeah, that's totally broken. But yes, it's supposed to be broken because it's supposed to be a last resort. I'm dying right now, I need to use ninpo. It's supposed to be a little help in all of this chaos and madness, The enemies are so overpowered and broken themselves that giving you something very powerful and broken evens the odds a little bit.
Yeah.
So yes, you can view it as broken, but you can also view it as purposefully being overpowered to give you a little breather when you need it. And that's what it's there for.
Absolutely, I agree. Like even if it is like in another game, like even if it is like broken, like changing it and making it balanced, like makes it so like you lose something, like you lose a way maybe to make a different build or to play the game in a different aspect. And yeah, especially in games like where there is no competitive aspect, I don't see the point on.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. If a game is a single player game only, then let shit be broken. What do you care? Let us have fun, you know?
With some limitation, like it is completely like broken that kills everything in one hit. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think many people that play Neo would say that the sloth talisman is cheating.
In Neo 1,
and I always get angry when I hear stuff like that because it is an action RPG. The point, at least in my eyes, the point of an action RPG is to make a character that's completely overpowered. That's like the whole point of the game, you know? It's not an action game. You get all these possibilities and all this equipment and all these stats and stuff. And I think the developer wants you to use all of that. He wouldn't give it to you otherwise.
No, absolutely. And with Neo specifically, like you can, if you want to play it like an action game, you can play it. Specifically because like the game gives you all the tools to pretty much create the system you prefer. Like if you wanna go like full Diablo and just go with the most OP build you can find and destroy everything in one hit, you can do that. If you want to like play it more like medium size, so like some stuff from stats, and then some stuff from skills, okay, you can do that. Or if you want, you can just play like with level 1 weapons and have like really, really difficult times and having to use all the mechanics. Like
Yeah, that's actually a very good example that you mentioned Diablo again, because I come from a Diablo world when it comes to action RPGs, and Diablo doesn't really have a combat system because it's a top-down game. You know, you just click on things. So I mean, there's definitely more to it, but in a nutshell, you click on an enemy and he dies.
Yeah.
So there are no combos or something like that. You know. So for me, action RPGs always were about the character build. Like that's the whole point for me. And now Neo comes along, which is, in my opinion, Neo is exactly like Diablo when it comes to build variety and items. So it is very similar to that game, very, very similar. But you have a combat system on top of that. So you can use even more stuff than you could in a simple top-down action RPG. So when I play Neo, I play it as a Diablo player. I go for a strong build that one-shots everything, you know? And when people play it like an action game and they see my build, they're like, oh yeah, man, that game is not even hard like that, you know? He's basically cheating. And I'm thinking, well, that's how the game is supposed to be played. Just because you restrict yourself doesn't mean that I'm cheating. I'm playing the game how it is supposed to be played.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And you are restricting yourself, which is fine. But don't tell me that I'm using broken stuff and that I'm cheating just because you decide to make it harder on yourself, you know?
No, absolutely. Like the game is it's designed that way. Like you can build
I really hate shit like that. I mean, I watch a lot of Neo style players. I really do, because I love watching it because it looks very spectacular. But I could never play that game like that because I would get bored as fuck because I want to kill the enemy fast.
And to me, it's the exact opposite. Like I get bored if I one shot everything. Like I want to.
I can understand that, but I can totally understand that. But for me, Neo is not about the combat. For me, Neo is about sitting at the smith for 10 hours and thinking about percentages.
Yeah, I mean maxing the builds.
Yeah, exactly. That's the fun for me.
No, that's the beauty of Neo. Like you can do both.
Yeah, everybody can play however he likes. I only have a problem when I hear shit from other players that tell me, dude, you're basically cheating. And I'm like, no, man, I'm not. I'm playing the game.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's when I really have a problem. I don't go to style players and try to convert them that they basically are not playing the game correctly,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because that's just bullshit to say. I would never do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So why tell me that I'm cheesing it, you know?
No,
I know
you're.
I'm starting to
Yeah,
rant,
no,
so
but
I'm
you're
gonna
right.
stop
You're
now.
right. It's something that happens to both fronts. Like a lot of the people that play the game like Diablo, like continue to criticize style player because they are not optimal on DPS or stuff like that. And just
But I
let
would never
people
do
play.
that.
Yeah, no, I know. Like just let people play like they want to play it, especially in a game like Neo
Exactly.
that gives you the
Exactly.
choice to do whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah. I come from a time in a game, especially Diablo,
Mm-hmm.
where you made your character so powerful that you can help other people.
Mm-hmm.
Neo doesn't allow for that in exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit, but not exactly like that. Because in Diablo 2, you can basically go into hell difficulty if someone rushes you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have someone who is a very, very, very powerful character, and you go into a party with him, and he just melts everything for you, and you're arrived at hell difficulty like instantly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very quick way. You need powerful characters for that. You can't just do it with combat like in Neo, you know. So I come from a time where action RPGs meant overpowered
Mm-hmm.
characters. So for me, it is natural to play Neo like that, and it is fascinating when I see what other people can do
Mm-hmm.
without all of that, and I love watching it.
No, yeah, watching.
But I think people need to change their view on people like me, because um, it is your own choice to restrict yourself, and people shouldn't look down on players that just want to have fun
Mm-hmm.
and not making their lives even harder,
Mm-hmm.
because Neo is not an easy game to begin with, you know. So I think we all need to have a little bit more respect for how other people play a game we like,
Mm-hmm.
and not try to downplay how a game is being played by someone else
Mm-hmm.
just because we don't like to see it be played that way, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree completely. And actually, talking about Diablo, like something came to mind. Like I know that there is a remake coming from Diablo 2, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any hope for that, or
I really don't. I couldn't care less about
okay?
that.
So you just stick with
um
the original.
yeah, first of all, fuck Acti Blizzard and everything they're doing.
Absolutely, yeah,
Fuck
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Fuck them, and nobody should support anything they are
I
doing,
completely agree.
for real. But I know that it's probably a lost cause to try to convince anybody,
Mm-hmm.
because even the loudest people that screamed "fuck Acti Blizzard" will, as soon as a new game come out, will forget everything, and their eyes will like blink like diamonds, and they will rush to buy the new game, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm very much a man of principle,
Mm-hmm.
and I won't support that company at all. I won't play their games. I won't buy their games for certain.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a look at it because I was interested what they did with it, definitely, because it's one of the my favorite games of all time,
Mm-hmm.
Diablo 2. And I was curious, of course, but I would never ever buy it or play it or support Acti Blizzard in any way. Fuck them. They can go suck my salty
Yeah.
balls.
No, you're completely right. I'm actually never. After they started doing all the stuff with like China and banning players and all that stuff, I actually stopped playing their games too.
Yeah,
Like
for me
I.
it started even earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even have to go political for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the fact that Activision owns Blizzard, that fact alone is reason enough for me
Mm-hmm.
to never play their games anymore, because Activision alone is a piece of shit company
Absolutely.
that I am very, very much against microtransactions of any kind,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
anything that
Completely
has
agree.
to do with that. So I will boycott anything that has
Mm-hmm.
even a remote sign of any form of a microtransaction.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't play it. I won't buy it. And that stuff that you just said about China and all that political
Mm-hmm.
stuff, that's just on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's important, of course, as well. But that came long after I decided that I don't want to support that company
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And it's just even more reason to not support them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, like microtransactions are fucking like a shit stain on this industry. pretty much.
Yeah, I know people personally that whose lives got almost destroyed by that shit. So it's very personal for me as well.
No, but you're right. Like, if you should like stop supporting them if you don't believe in them, or if you think
I think the only reason to change anything is to stop buying their games. That's it.
Yeah,
and I think also.
Yeah, it's something that in the end of the day won't change much, because like 99% of people won't care about boycotting anything. But yeah, it's principle thing.
Yeah, when it comes to that, I have to say I'm a little bit bitter about it, because I really stopped believing that I can change anything. So, and I stopped believing that anything will ever change unless regulations will start hitting.
Oh yeah, so, for microtransaction and gacha stuff, absolutely. Like we need
so I really stopped being the one that goes into streams streaming how can you support this, because some people just don't give a shit. And I learned that I have to respect that. No joke. Because some people just don't care about all of that shit. Some people just want to get home from work and just play a game,
Absolutely.
And I totally respect that. I can't tell anybody what to do with his life or his time or his money. But if I'm asked my opinion, I will say so. And but I stopped trying to change anything, if that makes sense to you.
No, it does make sense. Yeah, absolutely. No, at the end of the day, it's something like a personal principle kind of thing.
Yes, it became a personal principle for me. At the start, it was very much I have to talk to anybody about it, because it's wrong and anybody should know. And I was trying to start conversations, and I quickly realized people just get pissed and you don't change anything really. So just leave it be. If anybody will come to that realization that I have, it has to be that they realize it for themselves.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So it doesn't change anything if I go anywhere and tell anybody anything.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. What else? Oh, okay, yeah. I meant to ask before, like we went a bit for a tangent, but regarding Itagaki, did you play any other games of his, like outside of Ninja? Like, did you play the Live? I know you played recently the Devil's Third.
Yes, I recently played that for the first time, actually. I never played that before, and I never spoiled anything about that game for myself, because I knew that I will play it one day, and I wanted to play it so much for all my life, or at least for all the time I knew that it existed, because I always knew that all these so-called reviewers are just talking bullshit.
Absolutely.
Because even if it's a bad Itagaki game, the game can't be bad. Itagaki doesn't make bad games. He makes weird games, yes, and he makes flawed games for sure. But he would never make a bad game. That's just not possible.
So did you like
it? Yes, I liked it very much. I raged a lot while playing it, because on the hardest setting, it is not an easy game. And I made the mistake to play it on hard first, because I just assumed that it's an Itagaki game. There will be more harder settings after that, but that wasn't the case. The hard setting that you can pick from the start is the hardest setting.
Oh, okay. There are no unlockable difficulties?
Yeah, sadly it doesn't, but now I say thankfully it doesn't, because it really doesn't need to be any harder than that.
Okay.
But for a simple reason, frame rate.
Oh,
that game has a lot of frame rate issues. And when I say issues, I'm being really friendly. Because sometimes it's almost impossible to play the game on hard because of the enemy count and shit that's happening on screen. But only for the reason that it runs on the Wii U.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a 360 game, and the game is left like that. He didn't make any adjustments graphically for the Wii U. So if more than 3 enemies are on screen, the game runs on 20 frames per second,
Jesus,
basically.
Okay.
And that's the only real problem, the only real technical problem that game has, for real. Other than that, it's a fun-ass game, for real. If I expected a mix between a melee action game and a shooter, but that's not at all what it is. This game is don't go in it and expect Ninja Gaiden combat. this game is a third-person shooter.
Okay.
First and foremost, it is not a melee game. It is a third-person shooter that has 20% melee thrown into it for fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. But if you don't like shooters, you won't like this game. So it is an amazing game, for real. It's a lot of fun. It's cheesy. It's totally over the top. It's bloody. It has tits. It's an Itagaki game. You will love it. If you like Itagaki games, you will definitely like this game. And I remember it getting a 3 out of 10 from all the outlets back then. And that's so bullshit. This game is not a 3 out of 10. Definitely. It's not a masterpiece, don't get me wrong, but I don't give scores to games at all. But if I had to give it a score, I would say it's a solid 7. Solid.
Yeah, it's a middle of the road game.
If you can look past the frame rate issues, that is.
Okay. Yeah,
but
I
I
need
think
to check
if
it out.
that game would get a re-release, it would be amazing.
Yeah, it actually needs it, but I probably don't think it will never get it. Like,
nah, it will never
no
get
one
one.
cares about that game, pretty much. So.
Yeah, no one really cared about that game, and I'm lucky to have gotten a cheap version of it. I actually got a new sealed version of that game.
Oh wow!
That tells you so.
Okay.
So that game was sold so little that stores still have sealed copies of that. I bought it at a store. I didn't buy it used or anything. I just bought it online at Amazon. Got a sealed copy for $30, like crazy.
Wow. Okay. No, I'll need to get a copy myself. The problem is I need to like dust off the Wii U.
Yeah. I was lucky because a friend of mine has a Wii U, and just I could borrow it. Because a Wii U is fucking expensive still.
Oh, it's still expensive?
It's like still $200, something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but damn, a Wii U is even more expensive than a 360 or a used Xbox One right now.
No, I had no idea. Like, especially because like no one really cares about the Wii U, so I thought.
Yeah, that's the reason why it is so expensive, because no fucking body ever bought one, and it's so rare that even people that sell it now will not sell it for cheap.
No, I'll need to that stuff. I also saw Devil's Third as a score system, right? A score attack mode.
Yeah, but I never cared about score in games in general, so I never touched that, and I have no idea how it works. So can't tell you anything about that score system. What I can tell you is that the game is immensely fun, and you should definitely give it a try.
Absolutely. Hopefully, like I hope. I don't know. Like, does it work on emulator actually?
Yes, it does. It has some shader issues and some texture issues. So sometimes you will see crazy colors everywhere, and sometimes you get a black screen, stuff like that. But it is definitely playable.
No, I meant mainly for fixing like FPS problems, maybe.
Oh yes, it runs like totally smooth on emulator. That's actually the funny part. It not totally smooth, but it runs a lot smoother than on actual console.
So we'll see. I'll probably get a physical copy and then like just emulate it instead of playing on the wheel.
Yeah, I mean you can get physical copies fairly cheap. I think it's just you can find one for between $30 and $40-$50 maybe. And another crazy thing about that game is, and I'm not even kidding, we started this as a meme, but it very quickly developed into an actual scary fact, if I may say so, that if you played Neo and Ninja Gaiden 3 and then play Devil's Third, holy shit, will you see so many things that are from this game.
Really?
Yes, really. I mean, from mechanics to whole cutscenes.
Okay, that's interesting.
I give you an example for spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't played Neo yet or Devil's Third. You played Neo, I assume.
Yeah.
You know the 100 Eyes boss fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the 100 Eyes boss fight, he kneels on the floor, and
William,
you stand above him and you cut his eyes with your sword.
Yeah.
So that he's blind, and you say that famous line, "Now you see nothing more." That cutscene is 1-to-1 from Devil's Third.
Okay.
I swear, it's almost the same dialogue even. And when I saw that the first time, I couldn't stop laughing, man, because I make a lot of fun about Hayashi. Like it's a passion of mine to make fun about that idiot. But seeing that cutscene made me realize one thing, and that's when the meme started. Basically, when we said, "Oh yeah, Hayashi did everything Hayashi did in NG3 and Neo is from Devil's Third," and we all were laughing. And the more we played it, we realized, "Holy shit, that's actually true."
Oh shit!
So if you play Devil's Third, keep that in mind. Look for mechanics and cutscenes that I want to say inspired Hayashi, and you will it will be amazing. Trust me.
No, okay, I need to see that cutscene. I need to find it.
Yeah, it's if you I think what was the boss called? It wasn't the Japanese inspired level. I have forgotten what her name is. It was on a female boss.
Okay. Well, I'll find it. I'll find the.
I send you a link later because I played it on stream and we were all laughing at that.
Okay, if you have the link, yeah, send me.
Yeah, I will send you it later.
So, other Itagaki games, have you played Dead or Alive 2?
Yes, I have played all Dead or Alive titles.
I actually.
I have played 4 and 5 the most, I would say, because I played 4 Dead or Alive 4 was my first one, and then I played 1, 2, and 3 retroactively. So I never was so active in those, but I played them. But I was very active in 4 and 5. I was never really good.
Okay.
Let me say that right away. I'm not a very good fighting game player, not at all. But I still love playing them. They are a lot of fun to me.
It was one of the fighting games I'm not big into fighting game either, but Dead or Alive I actually never touched. So I'm really curious to see some of them.
Dead or Alive is definitely the best fighting game I've ever touched.
Okay.
And I'm not saying this because of Itagaki, because as I told you before, when I played those games for the first time, I didn't even know who that guy is. You know, I didn't even know who Team Ninja is or anything. I just played it and I just liked it more than anything else, and that's the truth. And Dead or Alive is I don't know, man. I can't describe it to you. You just have to play it because its countering system is so deep and unique. You have to experience it yourself.
Yeah, I'll need to check it out. It's one of the like historical series I actually never tried. One of the few. So I need.
Yeah, man. I wish I could try them for the first time.
It's on the backlog, and does it have any good single player stuff, like survival modes or stuff like that?
Oh, you mean in Dead or Alive specifically?
Yeah.
I mean, I played everything there is to play in Dead or Alive, online, single player, everything, because I liked all characters and I was very much into the Ninja Gaiden characters, all of them, and I think besides Kasumi was always my main. But I always like to play as Ayane as well, and Ryu, of course.
Okay.
And I always stuck with those characters most of the time. But yeah, I'm a very casual player in those games, so I couldn't tell you a whole lot about those games.
Okay, I'll check it out either way. Something I'm always being curious, especially because no one pretty much talks about it. Always. People always say just
even
tits.
Dead or Alive has a niche player base, although
people just
it's
say
such
tits
a great
and ass
game.
and nothing more, but it has a lot of mechanical depth. I heard a lot of people praise the game, so yeah.
If you want to start with a Dead or Alive game, definitely start with Dead or Alive 4. Okay. It's the best in my opinion.
Okay, I'll do that. Absolutely. So yeah, thank you for being the guest. Hope you enjoyed your time here.
It was a pleasure, man.
The pleasure is mine. Always, I'm always really cool to talk with people like you. We are really into specific games. Do challenge round, do stuff. The challenge of the gods thing is insane. I still don't know how you did that. So it was my pleasure. If you wanna say to the viewers where they can find you, if you wanna plug yourself, feel free.
First of all, I gotta say I enjoyed the time with you a lot. I have to say I was a little bit nervous at the beginning because I never did anything like this before. But it was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And I enjoyed it a lot, man. So kudos to you. I like the podcast with the other people you do as well. You're doing amazing stuff, and I'm hyped to hear the next one you do.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's a passion project of mine, so really cool to see.
Yeah, it really shows, and you're doing a great job, man.
Thank you. It's really cool to see people actually enjoy it. little by little, I'm creating my niche. So I'm happy with that.
Yes, I'm really excited about the next one. Have you any plans actually? Can I squeeze something?
I do have a
secret out
couple of plans, but I still need to contact people, so I don't know.
Okay, I understand. All right. So yeah, if anybody's interested in my content at all, just look up Farnham The Drunk on YouTube and Twitch. My accounts are linked both ways, so if you find one, you find the other.
Yeah, but always will be
search for Ninja Gaiden 2 tutorials. You will find me basically.
Yeah, everything will be linked in the description either way. So, like, just go in the description and you'll find everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So, thank you again for being a guest. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, man,
for listening in. Hope everyone enjoyed, and see you next time.
See you, man.
See ya. Bye.
Stay safe. Peace.